Look, man, why do you just hang out with me? Don't you have any pals? Oh, that makes sense. That's a good point. I don't. You're an indoor cat. I'm so excited to introduce to you the law of cat friendship. It states the following. Any two cats who share the same pattern are automatically friends. So, if that's true, and it is because it is the immutable law of cat friendship, that's true, how do we implement that as part of our cat module? So I'm here in my module because what I want to do is implement the functionality here before I call it elsewhere. And all I need to do to implement that method is to define a function with the name of the method that I want to create. In this case, def is _friends _with, and I'm going to use one parameter that we know, self, that self-knowledge that we know about, and another one called other cat. And the reason why I'm going to create other cat as a parameter is I'm going to pass a cat to this function. So I'm going to allow the current cat, the self cat, to compare themselves against this incoming cat to see if their patterns are the same. Now, if they're both cats, we know that each of them has three properties: name, fur color, and pattern. So if, for example, my self pattern is equal to, if this is another cat, other cat pattern, dot pattern here, then I can return true, else return false. What I'm doing here is a bit of an optimization. Normally we would write if, elif, else, some variation of an if block. Here I'm using return almost as a kind of break, although it returns a value. So it's going to return true if in fact these two patterns match, and it will return false if they don't. So anytime you see that return, it's going to break out and return that value immediately. If they match, true. If they don't, false. And as we head back over to main, we're going to see how this works and test some cats. While we were gone, a new cat appeared on the scene. Their name is Hobbs, and they are an orange tabby cat. So we might be able to say, well, Bert and Hobbs, they should be friends. Ulysses and Hobbs, though, definitely not friends. So let's compare two cases. Let's compare one where they're true and one where they're false. We'll start with the false one first. So if, in fact, the boss has a method called isFriendsWith, and I need to pass another cat, I can actually pass Hobbs themselves. And I'm really going to actually print this. So I'm going to give myself the latitude to see what I get back, and I should get a false back. I'm going to test it again. Say print, we know the two cats that should like each other would be Bert is friends with Hobbs. So we're passing the objects. We're not passing anything more than that. And when I run these, I should get a false and I should get a true. So let's go on over here to our terminal. And I'm going to Python cat sandbox.py. And I get a false and a true. So interestingly enough, I can actually even reverse these. I could say Hobbs is friends with the boss, or Bert is friend with Hobbs, and get the same answer. I should get false true, and I do. So what that's telling us is that every cat is in fact an identical copy of the other one with the different properties changed. And I could do some more elaborate print statement here to use the true and say Hobbs is not friends with the boss. Hobbs is friends with Bert. Now what this means, for example, is any cats have this particular method. So I could add on a Scoop is friends with Bert. I could add on a Scoop is friends with Hobbs. A Scoop is friends with Boss. Boss is friends with Scoop. I can reverse them. Because if they're cat objects, they all have access to the same methods. They just have different properties inside the actual stood up object versions of themselves. So the modules all have the same pieces. It's just when we create them and we provide the more specific identity parameters, such as name, fur color, and pattern, we're able to compare them against each other and not get the same results. So we now have a false, true, false. So that's one thing to remember as we go back on over to our cat module here. Anything we add here is common to all cats. So anytime we create a cat, they get this constructor, they get the ability to print themselves as a string, they get the ability to meow, of course, and they get the ability to compare themselves to other cats to see if they're friends. And as we discovered in this video, Ulysses doesn't have any friends at all. Except maybe like a squirrel that stops by every now and again. But not important. What is important is what you learned this week. And what you learned was how to crack open a module, have a look, and write your own This becomes extremely powerful as we try to model or we try to simulate other kinds of real-world problems that need this kind of object making so that we can have things that have a certain kind of permanence. They're able to keep their own data in mind as we use them throughout a program. We're also going to see this week how we can change states and do different things with modules that we've experienced from the JSON random Robbie the Robot side, how we can do those with objects that we create. And I look forward to solving those more extended, complicated, real-world problems with you.